Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Adriaan and today we are going to scrape some data from Facebook. I'm sure you've come across some promotional posts from businesses where they ask you to like the post, share the post and follow their business Facebook page, and then if you do all those three you are eligible to win a prize. Now imagine the amount of time you need to go through to have a look and see if all the people that have liked, shared and followed your page, who of them will be in all three of those lists. Now imagine if you do that manually, that can take a lot of time. Luckily, with web scraping, we can get the names of the people who liked your post, the people who shared the post, and the people who follow your page in a matter of seconds. And then using Python's list capabilities, we can quickly see who is in all three of those lists and randomly select one or more winners. Now for my example, I'm going to use a post from Bristol Waste. Now if I click on this post, a pop-up window will show, and then because I want to know the people who've engaged or liked or loved the post, I click again and then another window appears. Now Facebook's HTML to get all this pretty pop-up windows and all this formatting done is quite complex and it's difficult to scrape this data. So luckily there is a more dumbed down version of Facebook that we're going to use, and it's called MBasic Facebook. So if we go to the post URL at the top and we click on it and we just go and we change the www to mbasic.facebook.com and we press enter, you can see the interface is much more simpler. And then if we click again on the likes of this post, you will see a list is thrown out with no fancy formatting. It's a web page on its own. If we look at the URL of this post, you can see there's a limit equals 10. Now we know this post was like approximately 107 times, so we can just go and change that 10 to 150. And if we press enter, that list has expanded to basically everyone that is engaged with this post. So now that we've got all the names on the web page, we can easily go and scrape these names from this web page. If you want to scrape any data from a web page, you're going to need two libraries, and one of them is requests and also beautiful soup, which is used to eliminate some of the unwanted HTML to ensure that we get to the data that we want. The first thing when web scraping data is to get all the HTML content of the web page and store it in a variable. And we're going to store it in a variable page. The request library gives you the capability of sending your login name and password, and this can be done using the following code. So with the request library, we create a session, and then in the session we give Facebook our username and password, and that is contained in this command here. Now we need to create this payload or the username and password, and that can be done by creating a dictionary. So we create this variable payload, and we have an email and a pass keys for the dictionary, and then this will be your username and password for Facebook. I've created a separate Python script that contains my username and password. Now you can go and you can create a new file called secrets, and then you can just say username equals, and then your username will be here. For Facebook, that is usually your email address, and then password will be your password. You're also going to tell requests that it needs to use a login, or needs to first go to a login URL, which we specify as facebook.com/login, and then give that URL the necessary data to log us into Facebook. And then once it's done that, it can now go and get the requests, or it can request the HTML content of the web page that we want, which we've listed here. By using Beautiful Soup, we will be able to extract the names from that HTML code, that chaos, and put it into a list, which we can use later. If we go back to our Facebook page and we right click to inspect the code, and we select, for instance, this name here, we click it, you will see it automatically goes and lists where this is. And if we expand this, you can see there is a link to this person's profile, and there is text with the person's name, and it's enclosed in an H3 tag as well as a class BJ. So those two we can use to tell Beautiful Soup to zoom into there and only extract the data there, and then the name of the person will be contained in that data. You can use Beautiful Soup to take all that HTML data and put it in another variable, which we will just be calling soup. And then from there, we will go and zoom into the data that we need. So next we can get all the names of the people who've liked the post and put it into an iterable list with soup.findAll. And we know that the name is in the HTML tag h3 and the class is BE. And then if we go and we want to see all these names, we can list them in the command prompt with a for loop, and we can tell Python to only print the text content of the name variable. And there is the list of all the people who have liked that post. If we go to the first one, you can see it's Ben James. And then if we go, you can see the first one is Ben James. That is great. One list down, 2 to go. Now we're going to use the same method to get a list of all the people who have shared it. The only difference in the coding is the tags and classes that we're going to give the coding to have a look for the names in the HTML content. If we go back to our post in the mbasic.facebook.com, you will see there's nowhere to click on to see the people that have shared this post. So we will need to upgrade our Facebook a bit from mbasic to just the normal m.facebook.com, which is the mobile site. And now we will be able to see here, just underneath the amount of people that's liked it, there is a shares. So we're just going to click on that, and there is a list of people. And now we can go and we can inspect this web page again by right clicking and saying inspect, and follow the exact same method by just going and hovering over one person's name and then looking at the HTML code that envelops this guy's name. I've updated my code to include the filtering commands to get the HTML, and you can see I haven't changed this. So this is the only thing left that needs to be changed, and we can change that to span, and we are gonna just use that HTML tag because for some unknown reason the class, if I add the class one, it does not want to add anything. So I'm just gonna keep it to the HTML tag span, and now we can go back and we can run it and see what happens. So I'm going to run it again, and now it has scraped the necessary data, so now we can have a look and see if that has worked. So we're just going to print it again onto the command prompt with a for loop, and there is a list of people who has shared it. If we see, unfortunately there is a little text here to say go to home, which obviously is not a person, but the next one is Sydney. So if we go and have a look, and we can see Sydney is the first person that has shared this post. That's great. We have populated the first 2 lists. Now the only thing left to do is to get a list of people who follow your page. Now the problem is that this information is not publicly available. The only way you can access the list of people who follow your page is when you are an administrator of that page. We're going to use another library, Python library called Selenium. And what Selenium does, it opens up the browser and interacts with it as if you are interacting with it. Now I've created a class called Facebook bot, and I'm just going to run this now to show you how it works. So I'm again going to run the Facebook web scraping interactive mode, and now I need to initiate the bot. So I'm just going to say bot equals Facebook bot, and then you will see once I do that, it'll open up this empty browser. Now I'm just going to go and split my screen. So it's open up an empty browser, and now the next thing I want to do is I want it to log in. So I'm just going to say bot.login, and you see there it goes. It navigates to facebook.com, it enters my username and password, and I am logged in. Now for this video, I'm going to navigate to one of a group of mine, which is dormant at the moment. And if we navigate to the top, you will see there is a settings. Now that is your page settings. If we click that and we go to the left, there will be people and other pages. Now if we click that one, it will list the names of all the people that follow your page. So the page URL we are going to copy, and we're going to go and tell our bot to navigate to that page. And we're going to do that by saying bot.driver.get, and then we're going to input this URL, and you will see the page just reloads to where it was because I've already navigated to it, but now the bot is at that page as well. So then we're going to create another variable called page, and it's going to retrieve the source code through bot.driver.page_source. Next, we're going to put the content of the page into another variable called soup, the same as we did with the other lists. And now we need to get all the names. So we're going to say names equals soup.findAll. That's great. Now we've got all the names of the people who've liked your post, who've shared your post, and who follow your page. The only thing left to do now is to take those three lists, compare them with each other, and see whose name is coming up in all those three lists.